Live from First Street Studios in South Tampa, Florida, it's time for another round of Last Call with Dan O'Brien, Seth Crumrick, and Jessica behind the camera.
Stop. Come on back. Oh, look at that. Quick, smell the glove. That is the smell of defeat.
We got to share.
That is the smell of victory.
Seth.
Dan.
It's Veterans Day.
Yes, sir.
We were supposed to film yesterday, but once again,
Storm got us.
in 6 weeks, we've had such a horrible wave. It wasn't a red wave. It wasn't a blue wave. There is a green wave from Tulane.
There is a green wave.
But what is going on with the weather, man?
Got a couple hurricanes in there, taking the left punch, right punch, like rock and robots.
Hey, I'll tell you this, though. What's great is not great for everybody else, but Tampa avoided both of them.
Thank God.
But right now, hey, I'm glad we got Jessica here today as a military police and myself and you.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just wonderful of the things that are going on in our lives.
Absolutely.
And right now, though, I'm going to coin you with something.
Oh, man. You think you're going to coin me?
The reason is just because Texas, baby.
All right.
And the Cowboys are looking really good.
Yes, they are.
So I'm just going to coin you with this one.
All right.
And see if you can do something with that.
Okay. Well, I have my coin ready to go.
You always do.
I always do.
So, but you remember, you started this madness.
I did.
But you know what? A lot of people like it because it's a tradition that we're living.
It's a great tradition, and it's a lot of fun. And, if you get long careers like we've been very lucky to be able to enjoy, you accrue a bunch of these. And each one's got a story. And this particular story, this is from Secretary Robert Gates. He was the SecDef. And he was also the director of the CIA. So this is a guy who did amazing things for the nation at the highest level. This was during the War on Terror. He actually was in the Bush administration and in the Obama administration. He was one of the few people that transcended all the politics and was just this amazing guy. And so after he left the Department of Defense as the Secretary of Defense, he also went on to lead different colleges. He was at A&M. I think he was also at William & Mary, but he also was the president of the Boy Scouts. And so he came to be a guest speaker at a Special Forces graduation in Fort Bragg, and I was tapped to be his escort officer for a couple days. So, making sure he was getting to where he needed to go and help him navigate his itinerary. And I mentioned to him one day in a car, like, hey, my son just started Cub Scouts. He's like, man, I'd love to meet him. I'm like, sure. So at the convention center, before he gives the speech, my wife Darcy and my son Ronan come to the basement of the convention center. They get to meet the SecDef, and the SecDef puts him on the spot and goes, hey, do you know the Scout Creed? And to give my son credit, he looked him right in the face and he just nailed it like a well-oiled, belt-fed machine gun. And Secretary Gates was so proud of him. He gave my son a coin, and there's a picture of it, hopefully that pops up, and then he gave myself a coin too for clearly trying to keep Ronan on the right path. So really excited. This is his Secretary of Defense coin, but it meant a lot to me, not because he gave it to me for escorting him around, because he gave it to my son because he knew my son was on the right track with the Scouts and doing all those cool things.
That's amazing. I'm going to leave that one there because that's what these stories are about.
Absolutely.
All right.
Cheers.
So that's good. Cheers.
Hey, Dan, we had a really interesting set of feedback from your buddy Dan.
Dan Kaufman.
Dan Kaufman is going to come work from us. And he had mentioned when he was looking at some of the previous episodes that he appreciated us talking about mental health. We had touched on it in one of the earlier episodes, and he thought it was really interesting that you and I, after being in the military for such a long time, were willing to talk about it. And what he enlightened us on was, hey, there's a lot of people on the civilian side that don't know how to approach the conversation or really, or what to say to military members because they read a lot of things in the newspaper or what they see that comes out of the entertainment industry, and they're not sure what to expect from it. And I thought that was interesting because I don't know about you, but my take is, hey, have an open, honest conversation. If you got a question you're not sure, ask. If you have a friend that just came back from a rotation or just seems to be carrying some stress, you ask them, hey, neighbor, friend, whatever, family member, how are you doing? How's things going? Right? Just open the conversation, and you'll be surprised if somebody actually asks you, hey, how are you doing? And not like a quick sort of, pass by the day, but truly just looks you in the eye and has the time for the conversation. And people are going to open up to that. And that's not unique to the military either.
No, it's not.
I mean, look, you see it in every line of work. There are people, every single person that we know has some kind of life stressors. Some people, it's similar to the military, police, firemen, those type of pieces.
100%.
Business leaders.
They actually, like fire department and police, my brother's a police officer.
Yeah.
And I know a bunch of firefighters right here in the community. They see things daily.
Daily in the places where we live in our neighborhoods. It's odd when we go and see combat trauma, it's usually someplace far away from here. That's a great point. Policemen, they see it a couple houses down in some cases, right, which is pretty wild. So there's that type of, trauma that people take on. But look, business leaders have it too. A lot of stress running a business, especially given everything that's happened with COVID and how tough the economy's been for some folks, that they feel all this stress. Being a parent has a ton of stress, especially in this day and age. And then also being a child has a ton of stress. So, when people talk about mental health, my big thing is, hey, open line of communications are big.
100%. Can I say something not to interrupt
Please,
you?
of course.
Like, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I lost 2 of my brothers.
Absolutely.
Way too young.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I struggled for a long time.
Yeah.
Now how I fight it, though, is I hang out with guys like you.
Yeah.
Guys like Jessica. I surround myself with amazing people
Absolutely.
that can't steal my happiness.
Exactly.
And despite all the other things or distractors that are going on in the world, like fighting, trying to run a business.
Sure.
When COVID happened, none of us could control it. But everything just seems to go away. Look at all the people just lost jobs, right? Even from major corporations because of whatever the reason is. But I'll tell you, it's just like the best healing antidote for me is I have to be around beautiful human beings.
Absolutely.
And if you really get inside of my circle, I'm a guy that has to constantly be around good people.
Yeah.
But it's my saneness, I guess, so to speak. Is that right?
No, totally. And you got to find that thing that works for you. I've always said, it's a great circle of friends or family. It can be religion. It can be finding a professional. In my case, I went through a VA program this last year. We touched on it briefly in a previous episode. It's called the PrEP program, and it's for special operators that have had a TBI and some other injuries and PTSD or PTSD symptoms, and you're able to sit down with a psychologist. And I'll tell you, I kick myself now for not getting involved with a psychologist 10 to 15 years ago, right after the point of trauma or impact. But I had an incredible year, life-changing, I would even say life-saving year, sitting down with an amazing doctor who fought through all of my nonsense up front because I used all my jokes and deflections and all of this, and she patiently sat there.
She made you come clean, though.
She made me come clean. She unpacked every single joke. What does that really mean? Let's get to the bottom of it. And I spent over 100 hours of looking her eyeball to eyeball on some really heavy topics. And what I realized was I had never done that with any other human being in my life. Not my parents, not my kids, not my wife, not my friends. And she was trained to basically walk me through this wild, dark forest and to really address these things. Because look, you and I in our career, we've seen some things that we packed up into a box and we put it back in our mental cave because it was traumatic. It could be from your childhood, it could be from a combat rotation, it could just be life in general. The problem is, you can control it during your normal day. That bad thought comes in, you think about something else. But at night when you're asleep, you don't control your subconscious, and that's when it comes in. Whether it's a nightmare or you wake up and you got to check all the locks on your house, even though you checked them before you went to sleep, all those things come together and create a stressor. And we're high-functioning, successful guys. But behind the scenes, you're carrying this stress. And so are a ton of people out there that are watching this right now. You're carrying that stress no matter what your walk of life is. If you go sit down with a professional, somebody that you click with, I am telling you, those 100+ hours lifted so much off of me and made me such a better person, made me a better husband, it made me a better father, a better employee, just a better, well-rounded friend, because I got it. I was able to actually open up those leaky boxes that would leak at middle of the night and stay in and reduce that sort of trauma and things that was there. And it made such a huge difference in my life. I would encourage people to find what that thing is. Find that thing that will work for you. Your friends, your church.
Yeah, it's just, so I'm generally a fixer.
Of course.
And I'm a giver.
Yes.
And that is my stressor.
Yes.
Because I look at how I grew up, and I'll get on Facebook some nights, Jessica will tell you, I'll just start beating people up, not in a bad way, throwing myself out there, because I'm like, damn, if I can do it, you can do it.
Right, right. Totally.
If that makes any sense. And I get mad because it's like, I'm available 24 hours a day. I mean, Jessica could call me at 3 in the morning, and we talk. All my friends, Mike White, right? I can name a million, Colton.
Yeah.
If we're going through something, or my buddy the other night, leaving his name out of it, let's say Kevin. But I get so frustrated because it's like, it's okay to show a weakness. Because then I know what I'm working with.
Exactly.
And then I know how to attack it.
You know the thing that you need to reduce and stay with.
Right.
Absolutely.
I love sitting up, and I hate to say it because I don't sleep. We all know that. But I generally care about people. Right?
Yeah.
Like you're
of
talking
course.
about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want you to tell me so at least I can get my mind right. Does that make sense? So I can be on team with you. I can fly you in here. You can stay with me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what to do, how to do it, or where to do it. You just got to be around good people that project energy.
And they listen to you and they help you. They're there.
Yeah, but they're helping me at the same time just by communication, conversation, like we do here. And it's just like Patty the Baddie, right? He said that after his fight.
Yeah.
He didn't even care about his fight because he lost his friend.
Yeah.
And he's like, I would rather spend 5 hours on the phone than 5 hours at a funeral.
Of course. And look, it's so hard because all of us, I think one of my big struggles before I went out to get help was, I was just like you, as a provider. I'm always trying to help other people. Let's put everybody else first.
Right.
And the problem is when you're a dad and you're in charge, you've got responsibilities, you don't carve out time for yourself. And look, you learn to be forgiving. So I don't beat myself up for being 15 years late to sitting down with Dr. J and letting her work me over the coals and fix me in a lot of ways. But I will tell you, if you feel that way, you feel stressed out, you're not doing anything for you, you're doing it all for other people. It is worth the time, energy, and any resources that you've got available to sit down and work through it. Yeah. It makes you a better person and it makes you live life. Life is short. In some cases, way too short. You need to maximize the years that you have left. Take care of those things. Get those demons off your back and find what works for you. I can tell you what worked for me, and it was finding that right doctor. And look, you might go through a couple doctors before you find the right one. It could be the same thing with religions or friends or whatever it is. Don't stop, because when you find that right divine spark, that sort of Sistine Chapel moment, man, I got to tell you, life-saving, not changing. I choose my words specifically and very carefully. It's amazing.
But wouldn't you agree that balance is the most important? We got to take time for ourselves.
Of course.
But we also got to make sure that we're still available to catch somebody when they're falling. I always say, reach down, don't pull from the top, reach down and pull somebody up with you. And it's good that we talk about these things because maybe this saves one life today.
It could.
On Veterans Day. Maybe.
But remember, too, there's the airplane analogy. When the mask falls, get yours on, right? Everyone needs that oxygen mask, man. Things are going bad, but make sure you're slapping yours on. Because sometimes, other negative energy can build up in you like toxicity. You need to figure out how you're going to wear it down to where you can stay with it and it's not something you're just running away from. It's really important. And the key thing is, if you see somebody and they're carrying the stress, just ask them that basic question, hey, how are you doing? And mean it, and you're ready to receive what they're going to tell you, and you're not there to be their judge. You're not even necessarily there to solve their problem for them. You're there to be a friend, to listen, to help them stay in that trauma and work their way through it. Because if they are able to tell you what happened, you just help them out in a massive way. Because they probably haven't been able to tell that. The people that hold on to it for a long period of time and they don't address it, that's when things can get south pretty quick.
But here's an interesting point, if I may.
Of course.
It's trust, though.
Oh, absolutely.
So if somebody comes to you, it doesn't have to be a soldier, firefighter, or a police officer. It could be a business guy or a politician, let's just say. Trust is everything.
Everything.
And if I tell you something or somebody tells me something, that's a bond. That is a contract that I'm signing with this person.
Absolutely.
Pardon me, freedom.
Sound of freedom right there.
Sound of freedom.
America.
But getting back on that, it's like if somebody's opening themselves up,
sure,
the worst thing you could do is go tell everybody. Because now he doesn't trust or she doesn't trust anybody, and that's when bad things happen.
Be in the tree of trust.
Look, I'll tell you right now, people can like me or dislike me, and I really don't care. I love myself. I love my friends.
Prefer to be liked, of course,
right,
but
sure.
if not.
But even if I go into politics here in the next month or two or start a run at it, I'm still going to need my friends to get me through that because I know as soon as I go into that, I'm going to get slang. My mud.
The knives are coming out.
It doesn't matter what I do, so I might as well just put it in your face and tell you how I feel. And the reason is because everybody in America has nothing better to do than when I go into politics and talk crap about Dan O'Brien. Exactly. But what I'm saying is that's why you stay close because these are the things. What? Say again? Yeah, just be you, but you know what? It's okay, like you said. I think it's the greatest thing that you said and what you did is there was a program available that wasn't available for me at the time. Or at least I didn't know about it.
Sure.
Pardon me, but it fixed some of the things that you were struggling with.
And it took time. Your point on trust is so critical. You know, I look back, and I'm not embarrassed by it because I realize I had to go through it, but the number of trust falls I had to go through with Dr. J and to get to that 100 hours, it was incredible. I had to start with small things first, and we would get a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. It took weeks before we started to actually get into real toxic, traumatic, awful things. And it was probably 60 trust falls to be able to go, okay, I trusted her with this. It was a good reaction afterwards. I feel better for it. Now I'm going to keep easing into it. You don't have to go in there and have this emotional, explosion right there. Ease in at your pace. I guarantee you, though, if you find that right personality and you get there, it will absolutely work out for you, and you will be a much better person for doing it, for sure.
Well, thanks for sharing that, though, seriously. Because, I mean, even me talking with you, Jessica, that's therapy.
Yeah, look, I love you guys. I love everyone that watches this.
Right.
And I know how hard the burden is to carry, and I've had this amazing, life-saving experience this year that I feel like I have to advocate for throughout any medium possible because of the positivity it did for myself and my family.
Yeah, and you sharing it, though, could save somebody.
100%.
And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
All right, hey, cheers to that.
Cheers, absolutely.
Happy Veterans Day to everybody. You won't see this directly or for like a week, but maybe we'll pump it out before, right?
Sure.
But Seth is honoring his enlisted men that made him successful. I'm honoring Jessica as a military policeman, and I'm inviting them to review me one more time in hopes I'll get my restaurant someday, but I'm getting good at this pizza. So today I'm going to have them review my pizza. I know my pulled pork's good. I know my brisket's good. I know my tuna's delicious.
It's awesome.
Dude, you have no idea how hard I work at it. I built this phenomenal kitchen just so I could do this. Hey, certified by the state, by the way.
Certified by the state.
Or at least the county. So they say, I don't know. So Jessica, come around and do this. And
I can't wait.
You know my rules. We're not copying Dave Portnoy.
No.
Right? But
the
two
king
bites
is the king.
is Dan's rules. So go ahead and let me know what you think.
Let me tell you, it smells amazing, first of all.
You hear the crisp?
Oh.
No, gotta get the real pepper, not the fake pepper. You gotta get it, Jessica. Get it.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely beats Hungry Howie's.
Oh, I ain't saying much. Get that pizza sauce off your face, director.
Oh.
What's wrong with you, kid? All right, give me a score, because we got to
Rush this next level. All right.
That's phenomenal.
Jessica, you go first.
Again, this might be the best pizza I've ever had.
Don't lie.
But I'm not lying.
I'm thinking it's 7-1.
No, an 8.
No, I'm going 7.8, and it's really good. It's phenomenal. And you nailed the crust. And the fact that you made it all here.
But look at the undercarriage.
It's
amazing.
Show me.
Look at that. It's just perfectly cooked. It's phenomenal. I mean, you nailed it. Everything about it, the consistency, it's just great. Though I might need to eat a couple more slices just to get
handle that. But you hear that crust when you bite it. It's like crunch. Oh, it's you know what? How about this? It's not the best pizza, but it's good bar pie.
Oh, phenomenal bar pie. You
Yeah,
kidding me?
that's all you want is bar pie. You don't eat pizza to make a living off it. You want bar pie. That's what our show's about. So we're good there?
100%, man. You killed this, man. This is fantastic, dude. Great job.
All right, thanks, brother. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you.
That's how that is.
That's fantastic. It's great.
So, Dan, we talked NASCAR last time. Had the championship cup race. I would like to say that I called the prediction, but it was probably the least risky prediction of all time on the win. But what a heck of a race. Give me your thoughts on what you saw happen during that.
Okay, congratulations to Penske. They ran under the radar all year. But Joey Logano, he's money in the bank, man.
Always money in the bank.
Money in the bank. And
He's impressive.
He likes to spit it up a little bit, right?
Right.
We saw him at the NASCAR dinner.
Yeah.
Great human being.
Awesome.
But
human
Penske this year, I mean, you had the Stewart-Haas teams. You know, Hendrick was running strong, Gibbs, Trackhouse. That was my pick for Ross Chastain. I'm like, oh.
It was such a great story. It was right there. It was so awesome.
I know, and then everybody's like, oh, you know, Ross was dirty and hit.
Oh,
Chase.
please.
Look, he was in position. He had a full run. You guys stop the nonsense, man. Just stop.
Yeah, it's silly.
It's like, I want to start becoming Max Kellerman. Is that his name? Or like,
Yeah.
I get so tired of people just dramatically making stuff up. But congratulations to Penske. What a great performance. Under the radar, but they're always in the conversation. He runs such a professional organization.
They really have a great campaign strategy that puts them in position to be chasing that cup in the final race and to be in a position to win.
Right.
And look, and that goes to all the rest of the teams that were in the hunt there too.
Sure.
That's a long year. That is a solid drag every week, just carting your stuff back and forth across the United States. To be in that position is amazing.
38 weeks straight.
Oh,
about 2.5 months off and right back to Daytona. Great job, NASCAR. The race was underwhelming. Single file racing again. You guys got to figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, this in a line racing, got to bump somebody out is absurd. Get me some rubber compound, resurface the tracks, get rid of this. Whatever this car is, this next gen car, it's absolute trash. You're ruining your own sport, but we still are fans. But it's just underwhelming. I'm sorry.
I gotta have 3 wide, baby. I don't need to see 3 wide barreling down the track.
That's why we call it racing.
Right.
If I just want to go doop 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 doop, then I'm watching UFC. That's why all your sponsors are in the UFC right now.
Yeah.
Because we want excitement. We want action. And stage racing is terrible. It hasn't fixed nothing. Goodyear, I'm challenging you. Get some tire compounds that can make 2 wide racing. Track owners, even though NASCAR owns like 8 of them,
You're right.
Fix the track surface. Figure it out. Technology's there, right?
Absolutely.
We've got to get back to 2.
We got a rover on Mars.
We gotta at least
figure it out.
Right. I mean, if we could do it on TRX tracks from Hobby Lobby and go side-to-side racing, NASCAR can figure it out. But let's get off of that. Let's talk about something even better.
Yeah, that's right. So we're just warming up. So shout out to Logano. So let's go right to college football, my friend. Let's do this thing. First of all,
nuts.
Oh my! You want to talk about 3 wide racing? This last Saturday of football had the highs and the lows. Man, I was on top of the mountain, and then I was in the Mariana Trench by the end of the evening. Just broke my heart. Bama. Oh man, what a game! Death Valley. Look, if you don't have a soul if that game didn't move you. It crushed me. I'll be the first to admit. But what a game! And I'll give a tip of the hat, the Green Beret to LSU. That's always a great game every year, but that hurt, man. That hurt me on a certain level.
Well, see, people don't understand, man, is like when you go into Death Valley, you're talking 103,000 people. Like, Garth Brooks played there. We created an earthquake when we were there.
Oh, yeah, they did
And then you go in there, and LSU is like 1 or 2 games and 1 or 2 players off from being right back in it. And now, with 2 losses, they still might have a vote in this championship if things go the other way.
Look, and when Coach Kelly went for the 2 points when he could have kicked the extra point, I'll be the first to admit, as an Alabama fan, I stood up and gave him a clap. Because that's exactly what you're supposed to do, man. You're supposed to throw it all in, go all in. You believe in your guys. Coach Kelly, who's taken a whole lot of heat earlier this year.
Especially when he was back in Notre Dame, too.
Oh, forget about it. He absolutely earned it and got it this time.
Well, you know what? So you
turned
got
it
to make a
around.
choice, right?
Yeah.
You already know you're not in contention to play the national championship unless I go for 2.
That's it.
But if I go for 2,
Yeah.
and I get a little help from my friends, I get by with a little help from
That's
my
it.
friends. Now the pack is coming back.
That's right.
To the other teams like your
Yeah.
Tulane.
Right.
Now we got LSU in there. And now something really special is coming this weekend. And I'm going to give you my upset alerts.
Give me your upset alert.
I think, right? Now, hear me out. This is going to sound ridiculous to all of you. But guess where Alabama goes this weekend?
Oh, no. Yeah. We're going Ole Miss.
Manningville. And I'll tell you something that's interesting. If they win,
Who's they?
you know exactly who I'm talking about.
You talking about Ole Miss?
If they
Joey
beat,
Freshwater?
Hey, if they beat Alabama, that will absolutely change the entire college playoff system because as we know, Ohio State still got to play Michigan.
That's right.
Georgia's king.
You're the king. Sorry, Tennessee. You gotta learn the hard way.
But listen to what I'm saying. It could potentially bring the wave into the top 10 at Tulane.
Let's do this thing, Wave. I can't wait. And
Hey, Gonzaga's number 2 in basketball, so let's just talk business. If you look at what's going on, you guys got to get through just a couple more tough games.
UCF, that's a ranked team. This weekend is a huge game for the Green Wave at Tulane.
Absolutely.
They got to turn out. It's going to be awesome.
But if they do, then the only thing they got to do is beat Cincinnati. But if they could keep it clean.
SMU's in there too, and SMU's got a gunslinger. They got a gunslinger quarterback.
But the
Never
ponies
overlook them.
are the ponies. But let's talk another Texas game.
Hit me.
I'm going to tell you right now, them frogs got to go down to them Longhorns. And if those Longhorns play at their optimal pace, and they beat TCU, now there's a whole nother pack of the
So are you calling a second upset alert? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm calling Ole Miss beats Alabama.
Oh, my God.
Texas Longhorns beat TCU, and it changes everything. It brings your wave, the Green Wave, it's Veterans Day, into the top 10, and potentially now a bigger bowl, maybe Rose Bowl.
Look, let's
don't know.
Hold on, I'm about to pass out over here. I'm loving this. I'm loving this conversation.
Am I right? What I'm saying.
Hey, look,
everything is aligned.
You've been calling it. You've been calling it.
I call it.
You
hey,
called
like Conor McGregor. I'm Mystical Mac. I just predict these things.
You nailed the Clemson going into Notre Dame, so I know better than to second guess you're the Svengali of this thing. You got to figure it out. I love it. I got to tell you, I couldn't believe that the college football playoffs had put Tennessee above Georgia this week going into that game. Until you beat the king, you are not the king.
Well, and you know what it did?
And I don't even like Georgia that much.
It's so disrespectful, though.
It's disrespectful.
I mean, and then you saw the shellacking that happened. I mean, it was just, who is in charge of this NCAA people?
I mean,
you can't be that stupid. And I don't mean to use the word stupid in a derogatory term.
No,
but I think I just did.
I couldn't believe what I saw. I mean, Kirby Smart, I'm sorry, have they lost a game since they won the national championship? And have they dominated everybody? It's ridiculous to put Tennessee in
But
there.
who are these people that are entrusted to make these decisions?
Stop it, right, exactly.
It's kind of like John Jones in the UFC. All right, he had some issues, but I love him, right? And I love his coach, Brandon Gibson, and Greg Jackson, or whatever. But John Jones is the king.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He is.
One of, right, with Anderson Silva or Chuck.
He was
Liddell,
the Mike Tyson of his time.
But what I'm saying is, you can't dethrone somebody until that individual has been dethroned.
That's right.
Is that fair?
100%.
So why? You know what they're doing though? NCAA, I know what they're doing. They're just setting this up for DraftKings. It's a
work. They're working us like WWE. They're working us like WWE. This is ridiculous.
It's absurd, dude.
I think they did it just to get my blood pressure spun back up again. It's ridiculous.
But let's talk about something that was more incredible.
I love talking about incredible things.
Tom Brady.
It's the magic man.
Hey, look.
Somebody accused him.
Horrible game. But let's talk about it. The defense kept them in it. We talked about it, Dallas. That's what kept them in when we had people rush, right? Let's be intelligent here.
Yeah, the defense, Buck Steed is great.
This is the Armed Forces Sports Network, right? Not AFN, Armed Forces Sports Network. We'll figure out that acronym. One of you guys write.
AFSN, I like it. There you go.
Yeah, AFSN. But what I'm trying to tell you is that game was kind of generic.
It was rough.
But he needed that. And I'll tell you why. He needed it for what he's going through personally.
Yeah.
And the team needed it.
Yeah.
I think what it does is now they're in Munich right now. I was going to that game, by the way, but I'm not now because hurricanes and whatever. But at the end of the day, it was the right time in the right place. And you know what? Tom Brady might have just done something last week in Raymond James that could actually catapult them in, because Atlanta lost. Now they got it direct.
They're number one.
I know the Saints will vote, but that may have been the spark they needed for everybody to kind of just gel together.
If you want to figure out why you pay that man $50 million over 2 years, you just saw it in the last 48 seconds. Look, there's a reason he's the GOAT. That was it. There was no body of evidence to suggest leading up to that was going to be able to happen. Even, especially when Scotty Miller dropped the touchdown pass the drive before, and every Bucs fan was doubled over in pain. But you looked at the sideline.
Head to the aisles, babe. I was there. Head to the aisles.
When sitting at home, there was this great camera angle, and you watch Tom Brady go back to Brian Leftwich, and they're talking very calmly on the thing, and you saw him go, "What do we got? About 50 seconds?" And they're talking, and they're game planning.
For once.
And you saw a calm field commander going, "Okay, then this is what we're going to put together so I can score a touchdown in this time period."
And what was so interesting, though, is I think Brady has 55 of these now after the last one. Excuse me. So what was so crazy to watch, though, the stadium went absolute silent.
Yeah.
After Scotty dropped the ball.
Yeah.
It was people were walking out and everything, but you saw that on the sideline.
Yeah.
And Tom said, I've been here. I just went through hell, got a divorce from my family.
Yeah.
I just made a bad comment about the military the week before. Hey, whatever, my offense, I have 47 reception yards.
Sure, yeah.
Don't have no touchdowns to show for it. But in this moment, this could be what brings me and my Buccaneers to the Super Bowl.
And what you saw,
because they're guaranteed a home game. If they win the division, they get one home playoff game.
That's all you
need.
And
we're going, or Jessica, you can go.
Everything is
everything else is exact.
It's right. You start over again.
That's it.
And look, Scotty Miller, he dropped the touchdown
but
pass.
He caught 17 passes.
He was amazing in the game, and in that final 48 seconds, he had critical catches, which is another thing of, hey, there is an experienced leader who's like, hey, just forget about the drop pass. We're on to the next drive,
right.
And boom, 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 and away you go. You didn't see the full meltdown like Aaron Rodgers, who is falling apart in front of us like days of our lives. It's a soap opera.
So what I find very interesting, and we'll just leave the Bucs at this, but here's the deal. If you're Tampa Bay Buccaneers, remember I told you, we had to get 2 of these 3. So we barely got by the Rams with another heroic finish, but Seattle's playing pretty good. But if we could beat them this week, we're in the catbird seat now.
Yeah.
Look, we may be, and it sounds bad, we may be sitting at, whatever it is, 9-7 or 7-9. Hey, it's okay. They made even a clothing store that was 7-9 or whatever it was.
7-10,
Who gives a crap? But here's the deal. It all resets itself. It's just like college basketball, Final Four.
Right.
Look, you gotta get into the dance.
Right. The regular season's about getting into the playoffs.
That's it. And now they added the other game, so it gives every division leader gets a home playoff game, right? So no matter what happens, we might be able to breathe a little bit easier.
We'll see.
Well, even because Atlanta lost, though, we got one in the pipe because we got the head-to-head, baby.
Yeah.
You got to learn sports, all you.
Right?
We just got to stay pace. We might go in at 8-10. Or what is it? Not
just get in. Just get in.
But you know what I mean? What, 7? What is it? Help me out. There's 17 games.
Yeah, there's 17 games.
Give me the math, man.
So you can go in at 7-10, and you're still, if you're the divisional leader, you're going in. Hey, and look, against Seattle, Geno Smith. If you would have told me this summer that Geno Smith was going to have the year he's having, I would have just, given you the look and, thrown you out the door. This is going to be a really interesting game. Seattle's got a lot of weapons, but they've got a lot of vulnerabilities. If the Bucs can pull this off in Germany, roll into a bye week, forget about it, man. This could be huge for those guys.
But I think building off the momentum of the touchdown drive, especially the defense worked so hard to keep them in.
Yep.
And Miller dropped that pass. We knew the Bucs were losing.
Yeah.
We knew it. Give us 48 seconds. It give us the GOAT of all time.
Absolutely.
That's why he's the GOAT. Because Aaron Rodgers, he's over there emotionally breaking down. Physically, mentally, everything, because He's never been in a position like this in his life to where he can't even get it done.
Yeah.
Tom was on the sideline and said, "Give me the bone. Hey,
That's right.
Give me the ball."
He's
right, and I'm going to do it. And
he's having an emotional breakdown out there. Hey, man, I don't know if you saw that in your ayahuasca dream down in Central or South America.
Yeah, whatever you're doing.
Maybe you should have been back here practicing with your team because right now it's embarrassing. And
or maybe you shouldn't have took that much money, right? When you have another quarterback that's $50 million that hasn't played, and maybe you shouldn't do so many State Farm commercials. I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you this. Fields from the Bears. We'll touch it real quick.
Yeah, sure.
I know he missed the thing with Parsons. He jumped over him and Parsons got a touchdown. But Fields from Ohio State. Listen, trust me when I say this. This dude is learning his swerve in the NFL.
It was ugly in the beginning. But it was ugly in the beginning.
But the Bears weren't ready for it. But now, I'm telling you right now, they may not make the playoffs because the Vikings came out of nowhere. And Green Bay laid the biggest turd in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
But they're not mathematically out. But that Bears team, that kid.
It's a lot to build around.
I have no idea, but there's something going on in Chicago.
To be hopeful. Something they haven't had in a while, by the way.
But this dude's speed and his arm, and he's finally reading the football playbook, right?
It's everything's slowing down.
But you always think about it in Ohio State, right? It's such an amazing football team.
Yeah.
So you think these kids are ready to just go in the NFL, but you hit it right on the head right there. It's slowing down the pace.
Yeah.
And he's starting to realize, I'm not a college quarterback anymore. I belong. And that's dangerous.
Well, he's learning how to adapt, too. The NFL game is so much faster and stronger. Everyone around him, he doesn't have the time he used to have.
Right.
And he has now evolved his game to get there, and it's really fascinating to see. A lot of quarterbacks can't get that evolution.
Nope.
So I think Chicago's got a lot to.
Isn't it fun to watch him now? He's learning like Lamar Jackson,
of course,
right? Or like Allen. They're creating more time now because they're comfortable in the system.
It'll be interesting if he can catch up to a Lamar Jackson. He's one of those generational players that is just stands out, and I'm interesting to just watch how the Ravens do the rest of the year. I think they're going to have a really interesting head. And of course,
going to be fun.
Our Cowboys going into Green Bay. So hopefully all the smack we talked about Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back to haunt us in some sort of karma boomerang.
So I'll tell you this. Aaron Rodgers is so deflated right now.
Yeah.
Parsons is going to put pressure in Van Der Esch. I messed up and said Bosch last year, but Van Der Esch, or last week. They're going to just destroy Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I'm telling you.
I hope so.
I'm telling you. This is the end of Green Bay's year.
Yeah.
Dallas is going to come in there, and they are going to rush that guy and get him so frustrated because he showed vulnerability, he showed a weakness. Did you see him, the fits he was throwing on the field?
It's ridiculous.
Missed 3 of the easiest passes you could make.
There's leadership, and then there's absolute collapse, and he's collapsing. You can't do that when you're the leader. You've got to pull some of those younger players over and be like, hey, listen, we have to keep working at it. And that is just not allowed. You can't do that if you think you're going to keep their respect. The second you lose that professional player's respect, you're not getting it back. You have to earn it like every single year. You don't just get to get it rollover minutes into the next year with a brand new team.
Yeah, but he wants to put himself, so if I may.
Of course.
And I don't want to bag on him. He's got State Farm insurance, right?
I'll never make fun of a guy for getting as much money as he can.
Right. But here's the problem. When you look at those 3 passes he made, he's obviously not in the game anymore.
Yeah.
And Green Bay fans, you'll see it. This week, if Rodgers has a good game, it's Rodgers. And then if he loses next week, he's not the only player on the field.
Of course.
But look, here's the deal. If Aaron Rodgers wants to put himself in a conversation as one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Right now, he's just a Brett Favre. They each got a Super Bowl, right? There's nothing special here. What's 18 years now?
There's league
Come on, man. You can't even put Aaron Rodgers on the same conversation. He played, statistically, he played up in the NFC North.
Right.
He gets 6-8 games for free. Free chicken. But am I lying?
Well, it's easier. It's a much easier competition for sure.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, but I'm going to hear it off the show.
Yeah.
So we already talked all the sports we need to talk. We enjoy it. Because it's good. It's fundamentally fun to talk.
It is. And look, it goes back to leadership, something that you and I hold near and dear, because we've had to live it and do it for so many years in our career.
Right.
There's such a striking difference this last week between what leadership looks like and what it doesn't look like going forward. And look, the final one we got to hit. We do have to throw a shout out to the Astros for winning the World Series.
How about it though? What did they have? 4 pitchers throw a no-hitter in the World Series?
It was impressive.
Not all of them threw a no-hitter, but a combined no-hitter. And then who was it? Dusty?
Yes, Dusty Baker.
Baker, man, how cool is that?
Look, it's great for him. I will tell you this though, and I think there's a lot of baseball fans. And baseball's got a lot of things to fix, just like NASCAR. There are things that league needs to fix to save the game. But I will tell you that a lot of the fans hold on to the fact that the Astros won a Super Bowl a couple years ago, and they were cheating.
A World Series.
Yeah, World Series. Yeah, sorry. They won a World Series, and they were absolutely cheating on it. And the slap on the wrist afterwards left, I think, a lot of fans wanting, to put it nicely. Seeing them win it clean this year at least helps a little bit in the sense that we know that they were under a ton of scrutiny and they still won. And so for the players that were on both of those teams, I think this one is legitimate. But I've got a serious problem with the one that they won a few years ago.
Yeah, and I just thought it was cool, though, to see the Phillies wearing the old Papa Smurf uniforms. I enjoyed the series.
I'm a Cowboys fan, so there's not much about Philadelphia that I'm ever going to get behind. I will say I was pulling for the Phillies this time around, and I was bummed.
What do you call the Astros? What was your name for them?
They used to be called the Disastros, and they're no longer the Disastros. Now they're just the Astros.
I remember playing football in the Astrodome as a kid. How cool was that? It was like concrete, and it was like
a thin layer of green paint.
It was like AstroTurf back then, Jessica, no doubt. Like what you see on a doormat. You hit that field. We were probably at 13 and 14 years old, and what the NFL would call concussion protocol now. Oh my gosh! I was like,
Cooper Krupp was bitching about it
recently. Cooper Krupp, amazing player, right? Probably one of the best
receivers in the game.
Yeah, and he's like, why are half of the stadiums on grass and half are running this field turf?
Yeah,
but there's rubber crumb in that. Yeah, just so you know. But if you were to go out like to Lowe's and buy that carpet that's on most of your grandma porches or in their Florida room with the jealousy windows still, I know some of you know what I'm saying, bro. We played over concrete.
We played in the Superdome at Tulane at our home games. It was like playing on a cheese grater. You would go play there, and after a game or practice, you would get all the skin would get shaved off your knees and elbows.
Arms. And so that's all from AstroTurf.
So if you wore like a white shirt or T-shirt, your blood would go through it. It was like 40-year-old virgin where they ripped off all of his chest hair, right? So they would put this like thin layer of white like cloth over it, and you look like a leper from back in the biblical days walking around. It was terrible. And forget about the concussions and everything else.
Now, when you were playing, did they have the rubber crumb? Or were you
No.
you were playing on grandma's.
Yeah, this is early 90s. It was horrible.
It hurt so bad.
Ankles. I had to get orthoscopic surgery on an ankle because of it. It was just terrible.
So what's the move, though? So, okay, we'll talk the World Cup later in Qatar, right? But
Team USA,
that's
can't wait.
I can't wait. I swear, I'm pumped. But what is the answer though? Because if we're going to build, are we going to build any more domes, or do we go all outside again?
Hey, the amount of money they're putting into those stadiums, all grass, no questions. And if you're not sure how to do it, go check with Arizona on how to do it. Last time I checked, grass doesn't grow out there in the desert, but they have an incredible stadium. They've got that whole turf that rolls out, rolls back in.
How about it?
Hey, man, that's it. If you're going to spend a couple $2 billion, get grass. Look, when you look at some of these stadiums, these cathedrals to sports, there's not many players on that team. That 54 or 56 man roster, I don't know what it is. At this point, like, that's not a lot of people. You have to protect that investment. You do it by using grass.
But Cooper Kupp, broke it down. He statistically did analytics on it, right? With the NFL. He was like, 50% of the injuries are happening on AstroTurf.
You get stuck there. What happened to me was I got stuck. I couldn't move my foot, and a lineman rolled up on me and snapped my ankle. The grass would give. It would give for it. He's 100% right. Turf is the worst. You think about how much money you're spending on these players. There's only 54 dudes. You're salary capped. You can afford the grass in there. Go figure it out. Protect those dudes, man. You're going to add years under their career. If they play on turf, you're going to take years away. And if that's what you're playing on for a home field, man, that's not an advantage. They're taking years off of your timeline. They're taking money out of your pocket.
Most of them are using field. It's like zoysia grass, right?
Yeah.
The real turf.
Yeah.
So it's essentially can be cut like to a half or an eighth of an inch and makes it look beautiful, just like it. And then when it doesn't, last time I say, because we got to make this short, it's no different than the Masters, right?
Right.
They paint that grass. Oh, you guys don't even know this. I know all this stuff, right? It's like trivial stuff that don't need to be in my head, but it is. But they go out and spray paint it. Them football fields, obviously in the wintertime, it can't live.
There's no way.
And paint it. You know what I mean?
Soldier Field. I mean, come on.
Leave me alone.
I mean, that's a rough field.
So is that good? Are we done?
Bills.
Did we touch on what we wanted to touch on?
Phenomenal.
That was great, bro.
Cheers. Welcome back to the Salute Table. This is a special Salute Table and something near and dear to both Dan, myself, and Jessica's hearts. This is Veterans Day Salute. There are so many veterans in the United States that have taken time away from their families and friends and gone and served the nation overseas. We're some of them. We support their businesses that they're running. For example, Horse Soldiers, and as you can tell, Horse Soldier Bourbon, we've emptied the bottle. So clearly it must be...
But it lasted 6 weeks.
It lasted 6 weeks, to give them credit. Though there was a couple bottles in there, I'll go full report. But to all those veterans out there, and also the veterans' families, and all of those that support the veterans now and the Veterans Administration, that look out for us, thank you so much.
And I'll say, if I may, reach out, everybody, we're so proud of your service, but reach out to some of your friends this week, because there are people that are still continuing to struggle. We talked about it in this episode, but there's some people going through some hard times, and we need to make sure that teamwork stays together. They call it soldier for life, but you're also a friend for life. So just reach out, and we're so proud of all those people, men and women, that put all this on the line for our country for years on years and years on end. But at the end of the day, man, we're all about one team, one fight, and we need to make a phone call today and call somebody you love that you served in the Army with, because you never know what they're going through. And that's all I got to say on that.
Well, perfectly well said.
Thanks, bro.
Eloquent. I can't add anything to that. Well said.